How many alien species are active on Earth at the moment?
As far as we know, 14 species. 11 from this universe, 2 from another bubble, and 1 very advanced from a very different plane. Don't ask me for names because nearly all are not pronounceable for you. 8 of them are not pronounceable even for us. Most of the species, especially the more advanced, are just studying you as animals, and they're not very dangerous for you and for us, and we work together with some of them. But 3 species are hostile, including the one which was in contact with some of your governments and exchanged their technology for copper and other important things, which they have betrayed your kind.
No, not now. I've made some notes about your history and now I have some questions.
Please ask.
First of all, you handle with a very large time scale. You claim that your primitive ancestors lived together with the dinosaurs, survived the, as you called it, artificial cataclysm, and evolved then over 40 million years, and your evolution was completed 10 million years ago. This sounds very unbelievable to me. Can you say something to this?
I understand that this must sound absolutely unbelievable to you, because you're a young and genetically engineered species. Your horizon ends at a scale of just some thousands of years, and you think this is right, but it isn't. This is impossible. Your program mind is obviously not able to handle such large timescales. Our evolution time may seem incredibly long to you, but this is in fact the original way of nature. Remember, your early mammal ancestors developed together with dinosaurs, and they survived the bomb like we did. They evolved slowly during the next millions of years, and they divided into various shapes and species, some of them larger, some of them smaller. This is evolution of the body, but what about the mind and intelligence? They were simple animals. The mammals evolved since, let us say, 150 million years, but only in the last 2 to 3 million years were they able to become intelligent and thinking. And within this small period of time, beings like you were created. From nature, 148 million years for the evolution of animal-like mammals, 2 million years for the development of more or less intelligent beings like you. I mean, ask yourself, do you really think this accelerated evolution is natural? Then your species is more ignorant than I thought. We have not evolved wrongly, but you have.
Rude.
Yeah.
I understand, but I have another question. You have mentioned many facts about the ancient war between the aliens 65 million years ago. This happened very long before your kind became really intelligent, as far as I have understood you. Why do you know so many things about that first war and about the evolution of your species?
This is a good question, much better than the previous one, and I have not explained it properly to you. Our ancient knowledge about the first war comes completely from an ancient artifact, which was found around 16,000 years ago by our archaeologists in the continent North America. They found there a round plate with a diameter 47 centimeters. The plate was made from an even for us unknown magnetic material, and inside the plate there was another smaller crystal plate which contained an enormous amount of information coded in the molecular structure of the crystal. This memory plate was manufactured from the last bomb survivors of human race from Procyon, already 65 million years ago, but it was completely intact when we found it. Our scientists were able to encode the messages and data, so we heard the first time about the events which took place in the distant past and which led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. The plate contained detailed descriptions of both species, but more about the humanoids, and about the events and weapons, including the fusion bomb. It contained also a description of the animals and saurians on Earth, including our pre-intelligent ancestor species. The rest of our knowledge about our evolution comes from skeletons and from the back reading and de-encoding of our DNA. You see, we know the real truth about our roots for the last 16,000 years. Before that time, there was a more religious idea of our creation.
What have happened with the both alien species?
We don't know exactly. The surviving humanoids on Earth obviously died in the years after the bomb, and the others of their kind and the reptilians never came back to Earth, as far as we know. Concerning the reptilian aliens, there is a possibility that it was physically impossible for them to return, because the matter between the bubbles is sometimes in rapid movement. The current theory is that both species had ceased to exist during the millions of years.
You have mentioned skeletons of your kind. How can it be that human scientists haven't found any trace of you and your ancestors if you really lived for such a long time on this planet? We have found many skeletons of primitive dinosaurs, but none of an advanced reptilian being with a larger skull and brain and a hand with a thumb as you have described it before.
Yes, you have, but your great scientists were not able to reconstruct the skeletons completely because they wanted to reconstruct reptilian animals, not intelligent beings. You would laugh if you would know how many of the especially small saurian skeletons in your museums are totally wrongly constructed of never existing beings, because you use many bones which didn't really belong together, and sometimes you made artificial bones. If something was missing, you needed to construct an animal saurian. Many of your scientists are aware of this problem, but they don't make it public because they can't explain it, and they claim that the right bones were just missing and their reconstruction is right. Many bones of us were used for iguanodon reconstructions. For example, the hands with the visible thumb look like an iguanodon in a museum, and you will see that I'm right. A scientist in the country called the United States has built a nearly correct skeleton of our kind some years ago. But the local government, which is partly aware of our existence, confiscated the reconstruction. As we live today, and since thousands of years, nearly completely beneath the earth, you will not find any cadavers or skeletons of us.
You speak sometimes about underground cities and artificial sunlight. Do you mean something like a hollow earth with this? Is there a second sun inside our planet?
No, Earth is not really completely hollow, and there is no second sun inside. This story is ridiculous and physically not possible. Even your species should be intelligent enough not to believe this. Do you know how much mass a sun must have to produce energy and light for a long time by fusion? Do you really think that there could be a small active sun inside the planet? When I talk about a subterranean home, I talk about large cave systems. The caves you have discovered near the surface are tiny in comparison to real caves and huge caverns deeper in the earth, in a depth of 2 to 8,000 meters, but connected with many hidden tunnels to the surface or surface near caves. And we live in large and advanced cities and colonies inside such caves. Major sites of us are beyond the Arctic, the Antarctic, Inner Asia, North America, and Australia. If I talk about artificial sunlight in our cities, I don't mean a real sun, but various technological sources of light, including gravitational sources, which illuminate the caves and tunnels. There are special cave areas and tunnels with a strong UV light in every city, and we use these places to heat our blood. Furthermore, we have also some surface sun places in remote areas, especially in America and Australia.
Where can we find such a surface near entry to your world?
Do you really think I will tell you the exact location? If you want to find such an entry, you will have to search for it by yourself. But I would advise you not to do that. When I came to the surface 4 days ago, I used an entry approximately 300 kilometers north of here by a large lake. But I doubt that you would be able to find it. There are only a few entries in this part of the world, far more north and east. As a little advice, if you are in a narrow cave or a tunnel, or even in something that looks to you like an artificial mine shaft, and the deeper you go, as smoother walls appear, and if you feel unusual warm air streaming from the depth, or if you hear the rushing sound of streaming air in a ventilation or elevator shaft, then look for a special kind of artificial and smooth wall somewhere in the cave with a door made of grey metal. If you will be able to open the door, but I doubt this, you will be in a usually round technical room with ventilation systems and elevators to the depth. This is probably an entry to our world. If you have reached this point, you should know that we are now definitely aware of your presence. You are already in big trouble if you have entered the round room, but you should look for one of the 2 reptilian symbols on the walls. If there are no symbols or other symbols, you are maybe in bigger trouble than you think, because not every underground installation belongs to our kind. Some new tunnel systems are operated from alien races, including hostile races. My general advice, if you find yourself in a, for you, strange underground installation, run away as fast as you can.
You mentioned earlier that you use the name Lacerta when you are among humans, and that you enjoy it to be in the real sun on the surface of Earth. But how can you be among humans? You don't look like us, so anyone will see that you belong to another species. Why have nobody seen and described a being like you if your kind lives already since our creation together with us on the same planet? Can you explain that to me?
First, my kind, was of course seen and described and worshipped many times in your primitive past. For example, in your religious writings, like your Christian Bible. You can find descriptions and even simple drawings of us, for also in the southern part of the American continent, on various temples. So-called wise men from India and from the Asian mountains have described our species many times in writings, together with other wise men from the African continent. I think we are the most mentioned non-human species, maybe beside the Elohim, in your history. If you don't believe me, have a look at your history and you will see the truth in my words. Your great scientists called the belief in us superstition and religion. And today's intelligent humans have forgotten our presence on the surface in the past. Furthermore, our species is seen even today sometimes from human witnesses in its original shape on our Earth or in our surface near entries and tunnel systems. But fortunately, you and your media didn't take the reports of such crazies seriously. That's good for us, and that's the reason why we allow these people to see us as we really are. Some of my species are also in direct contact with human scientists and politicians from the surface, but this is top secret, as you would call it. And nobody of your public knows anything about it. The matter of these meetings is generally the upcoming war with and between the alien species and our assistance in this war. But there is also another explanation why we can talk among you and why we are not able to you are not able to recognize us. Mimicry. The following may again sound unbelievable and shocking to you, but as you have asked, I will explain it. I have told you before that we have more advanced mental abilities than your species, and with more advanced, I mean that we are able to use telepathy and telekinesis from our birth on. In fact, mother and newborn child communicate generally with telepathy during the first months, without special training, as you need to activate these sleeping parts of your brain. The structure of our brain is a little bit different to yours, and our hypophyse is larger and more active than yours, especially when we are in sunlight. Our own abilities are very strong in comparison to yours, but weak in comparison to the matter string bubble mind forces of some of the alien species on this planet. I was never very good in that mind things, but we all have these primary abilities and can use them, for example, for our protection or even for attack. When we are on the surface and we meet human beings, even a large group of them, this makes no difference. All of your minds are like one mind. We are able to touch their mind and induce them via telepathy the command, "See us as one of your kind." And the weak human mind will accept this order without refusing it, and they will see us, despite our reptilian look, as normal humans. I've done this many times, and you weak humans generally see me as an attractive brown-haired woman because I have created this special mimicry image in my mind years ago, and I can induce it into your minds without problem. I've needed some time at the beginning to learn this use of the mimicry correctly, but then it worked nearly automatically, and I can even walk among a group of yours and nobody will recognize what I am. There is a simple switch. See us as we really are. Click see us as we want you to see us in your consciousness, which was placed there from the Elohim when they created your mind, your kind, and we can use this switch to convince you that you see humans when you look at us. Other aliens use this switch too.
Wait. So if Elohim created that switch that they can, how do you say, present themselves however they want, and we think, oh, these angels, these great beings, these like light beings, and they were like probably ugly and
Yeah.
horrific to look at.
Yeah, true. Or lizards.
Or lizards.
It is easier as than you think that when there are meetings between your kind and aliens which seem to look exactly like yours, these aliens have used that switch, and some of the meetings with man-like aliens can also be explained with meetings with my kind. When I met EF for the first time, he saw me also as a normal human woman, And I remember that he was very frightened and shocked when I revealed him my real appearance.
Do you mean that you can really make me believe that I talk now with an attractive brown-haired human woman instead of a reptilian being like you?
Yeah, probably, but I don't think so in your special case. When someone expects to see a human woman instead of me, I can do it without problems with this mind, even with large groups, because nobody expects to see a reptile woman. But I have allowed your mind to see me in my original appearance from our first meeting on, and I have never induced something into your mind. So you have already realized that I'm not human. If I would now try to change this, it will probably lead to an absolute confusion or to unconsciousness, and I don't want to harm you. As I've said, I'm not very good in these things.
These parts remind me of Agent Smith in Matrix.
Okay.
What good of a
phone call if you're unable to speak?
Yeah. All right. That's very scary. Can you kill with those abilities?
Yes, but it's forbidden. That means not that it was not done in previous times.
Do both sexes have these abilities?
Yes.
What about photos? How do you appear on photos?
This is a silly question.
Hmm.
I appear on photos as a reptile being because I can't have influence on the photo or on the camera itself, but only on the photographer's mind. If he or she would develop the film and show the photo to others, they would see me in my original shape. That's the reason why it is forbidden for our kind to be filmed or photographed, and we must avoid every camera on the surface. This is very difficult, and we were filmed sometimes in the past without our knowledge, especially from certain of your governments and secret agencies.
So they're going to appear as a reptilian on the camera, on the footage. But
Yes.
the thing is, there are like these videos going around, like as like a meeting in the governments or whatever, and people in audience, probably officials, and suddenly their face is like
Oh yeah, shapeshifter.
shapeshift, or like you can
Yeah.
see it's like weird. It's not clear. It's like
Oh, maybe that's what
yeah,
they're talking
it can be the camera, it can be the lens.
Mm.
Lens flare or whatever
Yes.
they call it. But that's interesting that she says like camera can capture our real
As they really are. Yeah.
appearance. Yeah.
I'm not sure that shapeshifters though. Might be.
No, but they don't even shapeshift in these footage.
It looks weird though, doesn't it?
Yeah, as soon as the camera goes on those people, you see like weird, like something is like moving and it's not right.
Okay. Right.
The
Okay.
facial structure is not there.
Oh.
But it's not the clear
Mm.
footage either. So you can blame it on the
Oh, yeah. Okay.
shitty camera or
That
like
might be something else.
yeah. What other commands can your kind induce into our minds? Something like serve us or obey?
This is again a strange question. We are not your enemy, or most of us are not. So why should we do this? To answer your question, it depends on the strength of the human mind and on the strength of the sending reptilian. There is no serve us or serve me switch in your mind. So such a command is much more difficult to induce. If the human mind and consciousness is weak and the reptilian inducer is experienced in these things and was some hours in the sun before he or she tries to do it, then it could probably work for a certain time. There are secret teachings about such things, but I've never learned anything about it. I use my primary abilities for mimicry and for communication with my own kind, and sometimes for other private things, but I've never used it to harm humans or their mind. I would appreciate if we can end with this topic here.
Oh. I would never, though. She's like, yeah, I can kill you, but I would never. Never have I ever killed a human being with my thoughts. Okay. A last question. You've said earlier that you can hide your UFOs. Do you use the same abilities to do this?
Yes, but on a technical basis. There is a powerful device inside each craft which is able to send an artificial signal to your minds to convince you that you either see nothing but only the sky, or that you see normal aircraft like planes instead of our ships. This isn't used very often because we avoid human public when we move in the atmosphere. If you are able to see UFOs, it means that the device is either defective or deactivated for some reason. The camouflage effect didn't work on photos. To answer this possible question of you already in advance, but why should someone make a photo in the sky when he could not see anything unusual there? By the way, most of the surface near entry points to our tunnels are also hidden with such a device, and your kind will generally see only normal cave walls instead of the door. That's one reason why I've said that I doubt that you will be able to find such a secret door to our world, but it has happened a few times in the past.
Back to your and our own history. You have mentioned the race of the Elohim who have created our human race. Where did they come from and how did they look? What had exactly happened when they arrived? Are they our god? Gods?
The Elohim came from this universe, from the solar system you call Aldebaran on your maps. They were a very tall humanoid species with usually blonde hair and a very white skin. They avoided the sunlight because it hurt their skin and their eyes. This was absolutely unbelievable for a sun-loving species like us. They seemed to be intelligent and peaceful at the beginning, and we started a more or less friendly communication with them. But later they showed their real intentions and plans. They wanted to evolve the apes to a new breed, and we were a disturbing factor for them on their zoo planet. At first they caught around 10,000 or maybe 20,000 of your simian ancestors, and they left the planet for some 100 years. When they returned, they brought your now more human ancestors back. They then left Earth again for some thousands of years, and the primitive pre-humans lived together with us without major problems. They were just afraid of our aircraft and technology. The Elohim had taught their mind and enhanced their brain and their body structure, and they were now able to use tools and fire. The Elohim returned within 23,000 years several times and accelerated the evolution speed of certain of your kind. You must understand that you are not the first human civilization on the planet. The first advanced humans who lived at the same time with less developed pre-humans, because the Elohim had experimented with different speeds and stages of evolution with technology, and speech existed around 700,000 years ago on this planet. Your scientists have not understood this because they've found only the bones of the pre-human and some primitive cave drawings showing advanced humans and flying devices. This genetically advanced human breed lived together with us, but they avoided contact with my kind because the Elohim teachers had warned them with misleading purpose that we are evil beings and that we lie to them. Well, after some centuries, the aliens decided to extinct their first creation, and they accelerated the evolution of a second and better test series, and so on and so on. The truth is that your modern human civilization is not the first on this planet Earth, but already the seventh. The buildings of the first breeds are lost, but the fifth civilization was the one which built the large triangular constructions you call Egyptian pyramids, today around 75,000 years ago. Your Egyptians just found that large ancient pyramids in the sand and tried, not very successfully, to build similar constructions. And the sixth civilization was the one which built the cities, which ruins you can find today beneath the sea in the so-called Bimini area, around 16,000 years ago. The last creation of the seventh breed of your series was done around 8,500 years ago, and this is the only creation you can remember and to which your religious writings refer. You rely on archaeological and paleontological artifacts which show you a wrong and short past, but how should you know anything about the six civilizations before? And if you find evidence for their existence, you deny and misinterpret the facts. This is partly a programming of your mind and partly pure ignorance. I will tell you the following only about your creations because the six previous mankinds are lost, and therefore they should not concern you.
This is the sixth version of Matrix.
Ah.
It makes sense.
Oh.
That's why evolution is like, what happened within the 2 million years window? What happened that suddenly instinctual animal turns to fully intelligent, sentient being?
Yes. We got Anunnaki.
We got Elohim.
Elohim, yes.
Yeah. And not with the first try either. You got them six.
6 tries. Oh, well, they were persistent.
Yes.
But see, that all makes sense to me. And that's why I like this text, because most of it kind of rings true somehow. I don't have any facts for saying that, but just something in me says, yeah, this is roughly how it was, you know.
Even if it's all the things that we read here, all the information and details and events and whatever, it's like a combination of all the information that Ulek can get his hands on. Still is impressive to gather all this.
Absolutely.
And have it as like this type of story. And such a waste. Why don't you release it, publish a book and gain some money?
Listen
or
to him.
He would have been famous.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think one of the things that makes me think about it is like, is it really just bullshit? Is that he didn't do anything with it. He just sent it to a couple of conspiracy theorists, organizations in Germany, as it says, in France and here in Sweden. That's all he did with this story.
Oh.
Because you think if someone, we can talk about it a little later.
Okay, yeah.
But you can.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that. I didn't know that. There was a long war between us and the Elohim, and also between certain groups of the Elohim themselves, because many of them were of the opinion that the again and again creation of human species on this planet makes no real sense. The last battles in this war were fought around 5,000 years ago in orbit, and surface. The aliens used powerful sonic weapons to destroy our underground cities, but on the other hand, we were able to destroy many of their surface installations and bases in space. The humans of your series were very frightened when they observed our battles, and they wrote it down in forms of religious myths. Their mind was not able to understand what was really going on. The Elohim, who appeared as gods for the sixth and seventh breed, told them this was a war between good and evil, and that they are the good and we are the evil race. This depends certainly on the point of view. It was our planet before they arrived, and before they started their evolution project with your kind. In my opinion, it was our right to fight for our planet. It was exactly 4,943 years ago, according to your timescale, that the Elohim left the planet again for unknown reasons.
So it was Israel and Palestine.
Ah. This is a very important date for us because many of our historians call it a victory. Fact is that we don't know what really happened. The Elohim were gone from one day to another. They vanished without a trace, together with their ships, and we found most of their surface installations destroyed by them. The humans were on their own, and your civilization developed. Many of us were in contact with certain more southern tribes of your species in the coming centuries, and we were able to convince some of them that we are not the evil the aliens wanted them to believe. During the time from 4,900 years ago to today, many other alien species arrived on the planet. Some of them used the old teaching and programming of your mind and played, again, God for you. But the Elohim themselves never came back. They have left the planet for a duration of some thousands of years, also earlier. So we expect their return one day in the future to end their project, or maybe extinct also the seventh breed. But we don't really know what has happened to them, to answer your question of you in advance. Your current civilization doesn't know anything about your real origin, about your real past, about your real world and universe, and you know very little about us and our past. And you know nothing about the things to come in the near future. As long as you will not understand and believe my words, I will tell you the truth, because we are not your enemy. As long as there is danger in your species, your enemies are already here, and you have not understood. Open your eyes, or you will be in big trouble soon. If you haven't believed anything of the things I've told you before, then you should really believe and remember this.
Why do you think I don't believe you?
I have a certain feeling that you don't believe me, despite the fact I'm sitting here in front of you. Everything I have told you in the last 2 hours is the absolute truth about our world.
How many alien species are active on Earth at the moment?
As far as we know, 14 species. 11 from this universe, 2 from another bubble, and 1 very advanced from a very different plane. Don't ask me for names, because nearly all are not pronounceable for you. 8 of them are not pronounceable even for us. Most of the species, especially the more advanced, are just studying you as animals, and they're not very dangerous for you and for us, and we work together with some of them. But 3 species are hostile, including the one which was in contact with some of your governments and exchanged their technology for copper and other important things, which they have betrayed your kind. There was and is a Cold War between 2 of these hostile races during the last 73 years, and the third species seems to be not the winner in this useless struggle. We expect a more hot war between them and you in the near future. I would say in the next 10 to 20 years. And we are worried about that development. In the last time there were some rumors about a new 15th species which had arrived on Earth just 3 or 4 years ago, but we don't know anything about their intentions and we were not in contact with them until now. Maybe the rumors are wrong.
What do the hostile alien races want?
Various raw materials, including copper, for their technology, your water, or better, the hydrogen in your water, which is a source of energy in advanced fusion processes, and certain chemical elements in your air. Furthermore, 2 of the species are also interested in your body, in your human tissue and blood, because their own genetic structure is defective through bad evolution and radiation, as far as we know, and they need intact strings from your kind and from animals to repair their own genetics again and again, but they are not really able to repair the defects completely because their DNA and your DNA is not compatible. My own species is absolutely incompatible with them, so they are not very interested in us, and they try to make more compatible breeds between you and them by use of artificial fertilizations and artificial wombs. We suppose that the coming war between the 3 races, or between you and one or all of them, will be fought for raw material, hydrogen, air, and DNA.
Is this the reason for the abductions?
Partly, especially when the aliens took egg and sperm samples from you. Sometimes the abductors belong to another and more advanced race and they just want to study your body and your mind, which is more interesting for some of them than your solid body, as you would study a primitive animal. As I have said, 3 alien species are hostile, and this means that they do not care for your fate or for your life, and people who were abducted by them really came back alive. If someone is able to report about an abduction, it means, in my opinion, that he or she has not met one of the aggressive species, or that he or she is a very, very lucky human to be alive. Advanced and friendly races also took sometimes egg and sperm samples, but for other reasons.
You have said there are only 14 species active on Earth. But why people who saw alien beings describe so many different and bizarre types of them?
I think I've already answered this question. As I have said, most of the alien species have much more advanced mind abilities than you or even me. There is just one alien race completely without such abilities. They are able to appear in your mind and memory as whatever they want, and this induced image has nothing to do with their real appearance. You remember them as normal humans or grey dwarfs or even extremely bizarre animals because they want you to remember that, or sometimes that they want you to completely forget anything about a meeting with them. Another example, you can, for example, remember that you were in a normal of your human hospitals and that some doctors were examining you and you think not further about what has happened to you, maybe till you discover that there is no hospital in the street where you were supposed to be, but in fact you were examined by them in one of their laboratories. You can't rely on your mind in this case. They appear in different shapes to you to confuse you and to make so-called abduction witnesses who are able to remember the events, or who believe they are able to remember, ridiculous in the public, and as far as we know, they are successful. Believe me, there are only 14 alien species on this planet, and only 8 of them abduct humans at the moment. Again, as far as we know. In addition, not every one of your abductees is one and the same as the aliens in the reports, are really just imagination or lies.
Oh, how nice. It's only 8 that abduct.
Yeah.
So cool. 6 of them don't.
Oh.
Okay. How can we protect us against this influence on our mind?
I don't know. I doubt you can, because your mind is like an open book to read and write for nearly every species I know. This is particularly the fault of the Elohim themselves, because they have constructed, or better, misconstructed, partly intentionally, your mind and your consciousness without real protection mechanisms. If you are aware that someone tries to manipulate your mind, you can only concentrate on that suspicion and try to analyze every one of your thoughts and memories. Very important, don't close your eyes. This will lead to a different form of brainwaves which are more easy to access. And don't sit or lay down to rest. If you stay awake during the first minutes, you can maybe try to filter the other thoughts and waves in your brain, and the inducer will give up after some minutes. If he or she is not successful, because it will start to hurt his or her own brain. This is very difficult and certainly painful, and it can harm you, so better don't try to resist, but it would be the only way possible you have. However, you can try this only with the more weaker species, not with the strong.
So it's very interesting that, like, if you relax, because if you close your eyes or lay down and sleep, you like feel more relaxed and comfortable. Then we are more vulnerable.
Yes.
So when we dream, we are the most vulnerable.
Definitely.
Because we don't have any agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we don't have any control.
No.
So how do you say malleable we are as human beings?
Very. Oh, it's true. Yeah. And how we go to sleep matters a lot too. Which state of consciousness we're in, which frequency of energy, if you like, makes all the difference to the sleep. Because we're in different places.
So if we are this vulnerable, like we don't have any defense mechanism towards this type of abilities, all these people who are channeling different entities, are they just misinterpreted, or like how can you identify the intention of those beings, those entities?
That's an extremely good point, Marnie. And the answer is that we really have to know ourselves and know how to control. We have to know who we are very clearly to get ourselves out of the way and allow that person to speak without us coloring the other person's words. That's to start with. And the second thing is we don't always know unless we ourselves can put ourselves onto a high frequency of energy. Then we only attract other like beings. But a person going through life on a daily level, we experience this all the time. If you walk into a pub and you haven't drunk anything, it's easy to start feeling a little woo-woo already without drinking, because we pick up other people's feelings. I mean, physical people, but also non-physical ones. And alcohol is a really good example of that, because that's really what can strengthen alcoholism. It's not just within our own physical bodies, but it's easy for dead alcoholics to latch on to people drinking and, make them want to drink more and more and more, because they don't have a body to get that high from. This stuff's really common. It's not out there stuff. It's everyday stuff.
All right. What do you mean with one species comes from a very different plane?
Before I can explain that correctly to you, you must be able to understand the universe, and this would mean maybe useless teaching of your mind, including the removal of some barriers of many weeks, and with the teaching, I mean not only teaching by words. I've said this with your plain word plain or level, because you have again no better word in your vocabulary, and dimension would be in this case absolutely wrong. It's rather wrong even with another bubble, because a dimension can't exist without planes. If you would be a species living in another or even over the plane, and if you would be furthermore able to enter planes without technology, so that your body is not made of that kind of matter, then you will be the mightiest being you can imagine. This very advanced race I've mentioned have developed outside of here, and they've evolved, in fact, over billions of years. They will be able to destroy all of you and everything with just a single thought. We were in contact with them 3 times in our whole history, because their interest in your planet is different from that of all other races. They are definitely no danger for you or us.
What will happen when the war begins?
This is difficult to answer. It depends on the enemy race and on their tactic. War is not always that primitive thing you humans mean with the word war. Can be fought in various levels. One possibility they have is the destruction of your social system by influence on political leaders. Another is the use of advanced weapons systems which can cause earthquakes or volcanic eruptions or other disasters, including weather disasters, which may seem natural to you. The special fields from copper fusion I've mentioned earlier are able to have an influence on your global weather. I think they will not attack the planet directly before the human civilization is weak, because even you have possibilities to destroy their craft, but not many. Let me say, we are not absolutely sure if there will be really such a hot war already in the next years. I don't want to talk further about this.
This is the end of the interview. Do you want to say a last sentence or message?
Open your eyes and see. Don't believe only in your wrong history or your scientists or your politicians. Some of them know the truth about various things, but they won't inform the public to avoid confusion and panic. I think your species is not as bad as some of my kind thinks, and it would be a pity to observe your end. That's everything I can say. Go through your world with open eyes, and you will see, or maybe not, your kind is ignorant.
Do you think anyone will believe that this interview is the truth?
No, but it is an interesting experiment for my social studies. We will meet again in some months, and you will tell me then what has happened after the publication of my message. Maybe there is hope for your kind. I would like to say, whether or not we put this on the pod, Marnie, that this is from the year 1999, and we're now in the year 2025, so this is 26 years ago, and there hasn't been a extraterrestrial war that we know of.
Or has it?
Or has there? Exactly. However, at the time of recording this, and for the last few months, there is certainly the structural breakdown of the United States of America is well underway at this point. So who knows? Maybe Trump's the alien. Seriously, maybe maybe he's put there to make our society
not the good type.
not the good type. No. I put that as a question because I don't know more than anyone else, but I did hear her mention something like about that a little earlier. So,
Yeah.
to be continued, I guess.
So we continue. If you like the interview, if you like the content that you watched, please comment, like, share, and let us know what other topic do you want us to cover here. Thank you so much for watching, and to be continued.